Welcome to What Was On Wire. Today, we're talking about the immediate political heat generated by a highly sensitive symbolic display at a recent solidarity event and the strong, uncompromising demands for an apology issued by Dato Dr. Akmal Saleh, the UMNO Youth Chief.
Right. This situation, it really exploded quickly. It's a fascinating look at political optics, isn't it? You have an event that was meant to show solidarity, deep solidarity, actually, with a humanitarian cause. But instead, it just sparked this huge controversy over the symbol Akmal himself called an insult to our dignity. And in Malaysia's current political climate, especially when you're dealing with international issues that have such strong public feeling here, well, symbols like that carry immediate, heavy consequences.
Absolutely. And what really stands out is just how fast and how intense the condemnation was. Dato Dr. Akmal Saleh, he didn't waste any time at all.
No, he jumped right in.
Detailing his strong stance and putting out this, well, uncompromising demand for accountability from the organizers.
His language was incredibly sharp, very specific. It felt designed to reinforce a really hardline position. He called the act itself, just the raising of this highly contentious flag, an insult to our country's stance and dignity.
It wasn't treated like, oh, maybe a mistake or bad judgment.
Not at all. It was immediately framed as something much bigger, like a transgression against a national principle.
And that's where the rhetoric gets, well, pretty intense, doesn't it?
Extremely.
He didn't just condemn it. He gave that quote that just went everywhere instantly, saying that flag deserves only to be trampled upon and burned, not raised, whether for a gimmick or any other reason.
Wow.
I mean, that's not just policy talk. That feels like a political command, like zero tolerance is the only option.
And if you look at the political thinking behind it, the way he immediately connected that symbol to human rights, to the atrocities against the Palestinian people.
Right, that connection was instant.
Yeah. For him, and crucially for the audience he's speaking to, that flag represents a regime that's, well, lost all moral standing in their eyes.
So demanding it only be trampled.
Exactly. He's reinforcing the idea that Malaysia should never give this evil regime any respect. Doesn't matter what the context is. It's about maintaining this, purity of national consensus.
When a political leader uses words like trampled and burned, that's hitting hard. It feels like more than just foreign policy.
Oh, definitely.
How much of that is actually about foreign relations versus maybe domestic political positioning?
Yeah.
Especially for someone like a youth chief looking to build influence.
I'd say it's almost entirely domestic positioning. It's built on this really strong public sentiment that already exists.
Okay.
By taking the most extreme, the most uncompromising stance possible, Akmal strengthens his image. He's the defender of national values, of dignity. It fires up his base, sets him apart as someone who won't budge on this issue. And using language like that, it elevates it from just some event mistake to, a matter of urgent national priority. It forces everyone else to react to his framing.
And the final step, which we often see when national dignity is invoked.
The demand for an apology.
Exactly. An immediate public apology from the organizers. They're now on the hook, politically, for what he's labeled a huge mistake.
Yeah.
A violation of national dignity.
Yep, the pressure is squarely on them now.
Okay, but here's where the story takes a sharp turn, right? We need to look at the details that, let's be honest, the politician's statement kind of skated over. The organizers, they offered a totally different perspective. They're highlighting this massive gap between what they intended and the explosive public reaction, fueled by that one visual.
Yeah, you absolutely need the context here to understand the backlash. This all happened on October 10th. It was during the Kelantan 500-person Gaza Solidarity Flotilla activity. And once the political heat turned up, the organizers, well, they scrambled to clarify things. Pretty clear they were worried about the fallout.
So let's be really clear here. What symbol are we actually talking about? And who are the organizers trying to portray in this simulation they mentioned?
Okay, so the symbol, of course, is the flag of Israel. And in Malaysian politics, that symbol is just uniquely toxic. It's instantly polarizing. The program director, Muhammad Khairul Hafiz Hassan, he came out and stressed that seeing the flag there was absolutely not an endorsement, not support.
Okay, so what was it then?
They insist the scene was purely a simulation. A reenactment, really, meant to be educational.
A simulation of what exactly? That's the key part.
It was meant to show a real incident, something humanitarian volunteers encountered, specifically volunteers from the Global Samud Flotilla.
The Global Samud Flotilla. They're the ones who try to get aid to Gaza by sea, right? Often running into blockades and, well, hostility.
Precisely. So the reenactment was designed to show the harsh reality. the specific dangers and challenges these volunteers face on their missions.
So the distinction they're desperately trying to make is they weren't raising the flag like, yay, this flag.
No, not at all.
They were using it as a prop to represent the adversary, maybe. Like showing the flag of forces blocking aid or intimidating the aid workers, more like anti-aggression theater.
Exactly. That seems to be the intent. They wanted the audience to see the flag as representing conflict, the blockade itself, to support the narrative of suffering.
Right.
They were banking on maybe artistic license, where the prop serves the bigger message, which was anti-war, pro-humanitarian aid.
But that's the huge problem, isn't it? In the political arena, especially with social media, intent often gets completely lost.
It means very little, yeah. Especially when such a charged symbol appears in public, the image travels faster than the explanation.
So you've got these two narratives just crashing into each other. On one side, Akmal demanding an apology, because the visual itself, no matter the context, was an insult to national dignity. And on the other side, the organizer saying, hold on, this wasn't support. It was a reenactment to show suffering, to support the victims.
It's a really stark contrast, isn't it? You've got this broad, emotional, political condemnation versus this detailed, almost technical explanation based on an educational goal.
Which brings us to the core question. How did a simulation at a solidarity event manage to trigger such a fierce, immediate political backlash, basically blowing up their own intended message?
Well, it really speaks volumes about the incredibly delicate political optics here, doesn't it?
It does.
Let's face it, we live in an age of instant visuals. People see the image first, especially online. They see a symbol their leaders have publicly said should only be trampled and burned.
Right, and that visual just hits you.
It completely overwhelms any nuanced explanation that might come later in, paragraph 5 of a press release.
That feels like the key failure, maybe the miscalculation of risk by the organizers.
I think so. The visual impact of that symbol, even simulated, is just too potent, too high risk in this specific environment. The second that flag appears, the conversation instantly shifts.
Shifts away from the aid mission.
Completely. And focuses entirely on this perceived disrespect towards Malaysia's official stance.
But let me push back slightly on that. If the whole point was reenacting suffering, showing the flag as part of the aggression faced by aid workers, isn't Akmal's immediate demand for an apology potentially silencing the very voices of those humanitarian workers, the ones everyone claims to support?
From a purely humanitarian perspective, yes, you could definitely argue that he's missing the point or perhaps choosing to ignore it.
Okay.
But from a political utility standpoint, it's arguably a brilliant move for him.
Also.
He's demonstrating he'll attack any perceived slight, any weakness, any ambiguity. The political class here seems unwilling to accept even momentary visual confusion on this issue. The risk is just too high. He forces the organizers, who might be aligned with other groups or factions, onto the back foot. He makes a local humanitarian group look politically clumsy on a national stage. That scores huge points with the public, who share his strong views.
So, the potential political gain for someone like Akmal completely outweighs whatever educational value the simulation might have had for the organizers.
It seems that way. In this case, yes. This whole thing really shows that when you're dealing with these internationally sensitive issues domestically, the strong national consensus means any deviation, even a theatrical one, can become a weapon for political rivals.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the political leadership is just hypersensitive to symbols that even appear to contradict that national consensus. They worry about looking weak or inconsistent.
So even raising the flag for a moment, even if the intent was to show it being, say, captured or resisted,
even that carries the risk of being misinterpreted as giving that regime represented by the flag a moment's elevation. And given Malaysia's very firm, long-standing position, that risk is just seen as unacceptable by mainstream politicians trying to maintain public support.
Which really brings up a tough question for you, the listener, to think about. When you're dealing with symbols this powerful, this emotionally loaded symbols politicians are actively saying should be destroyed, do organizers have an absolute duty to foresee this kind of firestorm? Should they have chosen safer ways to tell their story?
Or should the stated, sincere humanitarian intent always be given more weight than the perhaps unintended political fallout?
Yeah. Where does that responsibility lie?
Ultimately, it seems like a breakdown in communication or maybe risk assessment. The organizers really needed to understand that in this particular environment, the impact of the visual was almost guaranteed to overshadow the intent. It leaves us asking, Was the reenactment with that specific symbol truly essential to telling the global submitted flotilla story? Could they have conveyed the hardship without physically showing the flag?
Or was it just an unnecessary risk, given how high the political temperature is on this subject?
Exactly. It forces us to think about those boundaries. Can any performance, however educational or well-meaning, justify using a symbol that the nation collectively views as taboo? Where is that line between artistic expression or educational freedom and political sensitivity?
A lot to consider there. Thanks for joining us for this analysis. Remember, like and subscribe for more videos like this.